For today's video, I once again start with the view from my hotel room. There are nice blue skies over Waikiki, but rain clouds are coming in from the mountains on the left side of the screen. I occasionally visit places of historical significance, and that's what I'll be doing today. I'm driving on Kamehameha Highway, and look at this elevated bridge above the thoroughfare. This is the rapid transit rail line that they're building in stages. The first stage will open in June 2023, and an extension to the airport will open in 2025. Today I'm visiting the Pearl Harbor National Memorial. Pearl Harbor is where the Imperial Japanese Navy led a surprise military attack on December 7, 1941. This attack led the United States to formally enter World War II and side with the United Nations, or more commonly called the Allies. This attack was also the deadliest event ever recorded in the state of Hawaii. 2,403 Americans were killed and another 1,178 were wounded. There's a short ferry that leads from the Welcome Center to the resting place of the USS Arizona. Directly above the USS Arizona is an open-air covered platform where we can see the ship, which remains today a tomb for 900 unrecovered servicemen. Every high school American history student has read about the attack on Pearl Harbor, and today I'll see this place in person. Let's go! It's typical Hawaii, which means it can rain at any time. It rained quite a bit earlier in the morning, but I think it'll clear later on. This memorial opened in 1962. It was originally managed by the U.S. Navy, but it was turned over to the National Park Service in 1980. Zooming in on the USS Arizona Memorial, I'll be taking a short ferry over to that site. The memorial is a place of quiet reflection. Many come here for its historical significance. Other visitors have a more personal connection and pay their respects to those that died in this attack. Before I get on the ferry, let's see a map of the island of Oahu and show you where Pearl Harbor is. The airport is in the center bottom of the screen, and I've circled where Pearl Harbor is. It's probably 3 or 4 miles away, tops. Very easy to get to from H1 or H3. Here's a poem from Eleanor Roosevelt. She kept this in her wallet during World War II. It's a reminder to her that every day the war continues, servicemen are dying for the United States. There's a walkway along Pearl Harbor, with placards that discuss the attack on Pearl Harbor and also describe what World War II was. There are also many quotes such as this along the walkway. Here's one such marker showing a map of Pearl Harbor just prior to the attack on December 7, 1941. There were 185 ships docked there, with 3 aircraft carriers nearby. The Navy base had fueling stations and facilities to repair those ships. There were also a number of military airfields and forts nearby meant to defend Pearl Harbor. The Park Service recommends making reservations as the ferries are usually full. Now inside this theater, which seats about 200 people, however they're not showing a film, but a National Parks employee went over the rules while riding the ferry and to be quiet inside the memorial. How nice that there's a rainbow as we're about to board the ferry. The Park Service runs these ferries about every 30 minutes. The visit at the memorial will be 30 minutes as well. Getting another view of that rainbow as I board the ferry. Pearl Harbor is the most visited location in Hawaii. Now disembarking the ferry and making my way to the USS Arizona Memorial. The park rangers asked us not to stop on this walkway to take pictures, so we'll have enough time inside the memorial. You can see as we enter the memorial, the previous set of visitors are leaving and getting on the ferry we were just on. While I'm here, I'll let the camera roll with some brief voiceover cut-ins along the way. This marker shows the ship, and where the memorial building is atop the hull, it's shaded in white.
See that brown thing is the one that's right over here. Right? Mom, this brown thing is...
The other end of the memorial shows the names of everyone that lost their lives in the attack, including those entombed inside the ship below. Also here, other servicemen that survived the attack that are now interred with their fallen shipmates. This is really powerful. When they enter a serviceman that survived the attack, there is a pole. When the urn is placed inside the ship, they say it's the ship accepting one of its own back. Now it's time for us to leave the memorial since the next group has arrived.
Welcome back on board, everyone. Once you're back on board for your safety, please remain seated. Do not stand, change seats, or walk around once the boat is in motion. In the unlikely event of an emergency, adult-sized life jackets are underneath your seats.
Now back at the Visitor Center, zooming in on the USS Arizona Memorial. Learning about the attack on Pearl Harbor from a classroom textbook doesn't compare to this experience. There are a couple of buildings here. The first one describes the events that led up to the attack on Pearl Harbor. It's very busy in here. You don't have to take the ferry to see this museum. In the 1930s, the U.S. was in the middle of the Great Depression, and this country had not taken a side in the fighting overseas. Here are some sweaters and pennants for the USS Arizona, Utah, and Oklahoma ships. In 1940, the U.S. moved the Pacific Fleet from the mainland to Pearl Harbor. At this time, Imperial Japan was threatening war against the United States. This part of the museum describes how they were defending Hawaii in case Imperial Japan decided to go to war against the United States. The U.S. military basically used Oahu as a large military fortress. It looks like the U.S. was anticipating war. This is a recreation of the USS Arizona. The ship was in service from 1916 until it was sunk during the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. The complement of the ship was 1,177 crewmen when it was sunk. This is a recreation of an Imperial Japanese aircraft carrier, complete with a large number of planes which were used in the attack on Pearl Harbor. Japan had a spy on Oahu to gather intelligence before the attack. His name was Takeo Yoshikawa, and his cover was a diplomat working for the Japanese consulate. This map shows Japan's plans to greatly expand across the Pacific. It appears the attack on Pearl Harbor was an early part of this strategy. By attacking, they eliminated the ability of the U.S. to mount a counterattack, so Japan could continue with planning attacks on other locations in the Pacific. For several months until the day of the attack, the U.S. had enforced sanctions against Imperial Japan. However, Japan told the U.S. they may do something desperate if sanctions aren't eased. The second building goes over the attack, which caused the U.S.'s entry into World War II and its aftermath. December 7, 1941 is known as the Day of Infamy. This building is also pretty crowded, so let's see how much video I can get in here. The Japanese military used the code words Tora 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 to signal that the attack should begin. The U.S. thought the approaching planes were a part of a training exercise. The attack started at 7:55 a.m. and a second wave started an hour later. This is a model of one of the Japanese torpedo bombers used in the attack. This is a mural that depicts the Japanese planes firing armor-piercing torpedoes at the USS Arizona, Utah, and Oklahoma. This picture shows servicemen on the USS Ward after firing upon a Japanese midget submarine. Looks like they only needed one shot to sink the submarine. Here's some of the technology used at that time. They used an oscilloscope to measure electrical signals, and they also used radar to detect possible flight paths. They needed a human to constantly monitor those signals. The military didn't think very highly about radar, thinking it was merely a toy for the military, but it came to value after the attack. Over here is a display showing the military almost immediately after the first bombs hit the Arizona. This display shows the anti-aircraft guns that were used against the Japanese bombers. Down here is a model of what those guns look like. In the second wave of the attack, the Japanese bombers destroyed the USS Shaw. The bombs hit the armament on the ship and broke the ship in halves. This display shows the rescue efforts after the second wave, in addition to attempting to defend themselves against the third wave, which never happened. The harbor water was on fire, the sky was black with smoke, but the rescuers worked day and night searching for survivors. Many soldiers and civilians received the Medal of Honor, Bronze Stars, and Purple Hearts for their bravery and resourcefulness immediately after the attack. One Medal of Honor is displayed here. This is a picture of Pearl Harbor burning. The USS Arizona burned for 2.5 days, and this marked the greatest loss of life on any U.S. warship in history. Seaman First Class Donald G. Stratton said, "We were just burning alive." This is an actual torpedo used in the attack. Not only were those torpedoes able to penetrate the armor on our warships, the Japanese soldiers were able to strike with high accuracy. This display shows another picture from Pearl Harbor, and mentions the attack was used to ensure Japan's aerial superiority. A sad byproduct of the war was how Japanese Americans were treated when others thought they would attack the U.S. instead of defend it. This is a draft of President Franklin D. Roosevelt's message to Congress the day after the attack. The first sentence mentions December 7, 1941 as a day which will live in infamy, and he concludes the letter by asking for a declaration of war against the Japanese Empire. Up here are some posters used to encourage civilians to remember Pearl Harbor by joining the Navy. The middle picture looks like a speech at Capitol Hill. Here's another display showing how American citizens of Japanese descent were mistreated and distrusted during World War II, even so far as to call for the removal of their citizenship. Many were forcibly removed to detainment camps. Here's a model of the USS Arizona as it appears today, submerged in the harbor. It also shows the memorial building constructed above the ship without disturbing the actual ship, honoring the sacrifice. 2,390 people lost their lives that day. The USS Arizona Memorial was constructed to honor the servicemen who lost their lives in the attack, and also to remind future generations of what happened here and how much further we have to go to fully achieve world peace. Take a look at this cool video that's playing, the USS Arizona underwater. The ship not only serves as a tomb, but also as a growing reef where fish and other water creatures thrive. There's a lot of interesting exhibits here, and it's completely free. Even the ferry is free, however the recommended reservation costs just $1 per person. This is an incredible deal, and it's well worth a couple of hours of your time. If you're ever in the Honolulu area, come to Pearl Harbor and really learn about the surprise attack and how the United States responded, both good and bad. I really learned a lot while visiting here. It was very emotional for me and my parents to visit the memorial and see the Arizona. I didn't know all the soldiers entombed in the ship before I came here, and also I didn't realize that soldiers that did survive are being interred here. On April 30th, 2023, just days after my visit, one of the two final remaining survivors of the attack passed away. This wide shot shows the very large lawn and walkways I was on before my ferry ride. And that's it. On what turned out to be a beautiful day in Pearl Harbor. I'll see you next time. I have many more Hawaii adventures coming soon. Thanks for watching. Bye!